Hello, EP Physics. I'll let you get one more look at the room just in case you don't get to see it anymore this year. I hope you do. And in fact, just found out I don't get to see it anymore for a while. So I'll be doing other videos from home. I'm going to give it a little shot to see what we can come up with here. I'm going to make the best of it, going to actually learn something because that's what we're here for. I'm ad-libbing completely. First, on Power School, you'll see there's a new template that we're supposed to have with, the objectives and assignments and everything. I will be providing information there as to how to keep up with things. We're going to try using Zoom to conference a little bit. I don't think there's any specific times. We're not going to do the class rotation thing that they were saying. They changed that just as of today. Instead, what we're going to do is have office hours. So I'm going to probably have an hour set aside each day for each subject area that I teach. So 2 or 3 hours a day, I'll be available. You can ask questions. We can talk, make a little bit of a class out of it if enough people are there. Otherwise, I'll do some videos like this. I'll post some documents, and hopefully that'll help. I'm going to go ahead and try to teach a little something right now. Let me pick up my marker. Gosh, D period didn't even get to see the planetarium. I am so sorry. F and G period did see it. You got a little bit of an idea what's going on. What I'm going to do is to try to get across a little bit about what people were trying to explain about planetary motions. First of all, the sun, we've already talked about it, how it goes across the sky kind of from east to west. We talked about the stars. They go across the sky too. Then the moon, and I'm not going to make too big a deal of the moon's phases, but it's neat. It's worth learning. I hope you read it in the packet. We'll focus instead on the motions of the planets. Basically, they rise and set too. They go across the sky just like everything else, from east to west. Stay up for about 12 hours, down for about 12 hours, depending on where you live. But when you look more closely, there's some interesting things about them. First of all of them move slowly compared to the background of stars. I'm going to make a little bit of a map up here. Hopefully that's the size you can see. I guess you can see that. Sure, okay. This is supposed to be a map of the entire sky. You know how you make a flat map of the Earth, it's really round? We can kind of do the same thing with the sky. And this is the celestial equator. This is like if you lived at the Earth's equator and looked up, this is all the places you'd see. You can say the North Star is up here somewhere and there's down south. You could put constellations on it, like there's Orion and Leo is about here. Not that you have to know any of that kind of stuff. There's Leo, sort of. Sagittarius is down here. And this is the entire sky, everything. The sun, as I think we did get to say, is in front of different stars different times of the year. So gradually the sun takes this path. Your astro handout shows that that's called the ecliptic. And the sun takes, I wish I could ask you so you could tell me, but I'll just have to pretend somebody back there is asking, how long does it take? Okay, a year. It takes a year for the sun to make this gradual trip around the sky. It's what a year is the time it takes it to make the trip around the sky. Anyway, that's what the sun does. The moon does it too. Takes almost the same path, not quite, but very similar to it. And it takes a little less than a month. It takes 27.3 days for the moon. Then the planets, and by which I could call the sun and the moon planets in this sense. They wander against the background of stars. But they generally move this way, but they take different amounts of time. Mercury and Venus are noteworthy because they never get very far from the sun in the sky. As the sun does its trip around the sky, which again takes a year compared to the stars in the background. It rises and sets every day, but this is against the background. Mercury and Venus are like a couple of dogs out for a walk with their master, going back to sniff something, going up to use a fire hydrant, whatever. And those two, Mercury and Venus, never get far from the sun. Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, which look like nice, big, fairly bright stars to people, also wander against the background, but they are not necessarily close to the sun. I know this sounds complicated. It's not so much that the details are something that are important in themselves. It's the explanations we're going to try to make for these details that little matter. But in any case, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn generally move this way. Mars takes a couple of years. Jupiter takes 12. Saturn takes about 30. So it's only gone around twice in my lifetime. So they generally do that. But there's something weird. They'll be going this way, and then they'll stop a little less often than once a year, like every 13 or 14 months. Jupiter or Saturn will stop, turn around, go the wrong way for a month or two, turn around and resume its original path, like it's taken, a step back for every 3 steps forward. And that was absolutely mystifying to ancient people. It really begs for an explanation when you see things that are, generally doing one thing and then they change their mind. That doesn't seem something fitting for celestial objects that ought to have their act together. In any case, it's called retrograde. And retrograde is weird and begs for an explanation. Another thing, just throw more details in. Retrograde for Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn only happens when the sun is on the opposite side of the sky, like they're in cahoots with it or something. And, they can only do that when the sun's on the other side. It was a bunch of mysterious motions in the heavens, and people tracked them. They cared about them for various reasons. One is they needed timekeeping, the day, the year, months, to plant your crops, keep a civil calendar of some sort. All those things were really important, so people tracked them. Another thing that I don't personally believe in, if you get into it, good for you, I won't argue about it, but astrology. Astrology is this idea that these motions in the heavens either affect or correlated with your daily actions and your personality and all that kind of thing. While I don't buy into it, I don't see any reason to, I must say that people believing in it is one reason people studied this so hard. If you believed that whether or not Mercury was in retrograde or something like that, like I see people say on social media all the time, if you think that matters, then you care to be able to predict it. And people did try very hard to predict these things, but how do you predict this weird stuff? You need a model. And one of the things we're going to be talking about is how the ancient Greeks came up with models that attempted to explain all these things. I will post more videos later. They'll probably be a little longer. I'll get into more detail. This is very off the cuff, suddenly having to come up with something. You'll know I posted it because I'm going to post it. I'll be posting more. I'll be posting questions. I'll be posting office hours. And I wish you were out there right now. And I miss seeing you. I hope to see you before the year's out. Depends on how this nasty virus thing goes. Anyway, see you soon. Bye.